Alright guys, let's do lesson 9. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, even if you don't like, I know if you guys are allergic to liking, just subscribe. Just a subscription will be like appreciated. So let's continue with lesson 9. Let's hear what our professor is saying, what our professor has to say. Yeah, my good people. A lot of people, I think, with 5, right?
Another very important aspect of functions is variable scope. Now, what exactly is variable scope?
Let me pause. He created another file without telling us. Haha. Yeah, well, I'm helping you guys. Subscribe. Because for some people they are confused. But at least if you watch my videos, you know how to maneuver around it. Variable scope. It's variable scope. But HTML. Enter. And then let's do this HTML. Let's close it. Enter. Pad. Close it. Wait, no space. Enter. And then we have link rel equal to style sheet. It's gonna be type equal text CSS, and then href is going to be equal to tab style CSS, and then we will close it. And then this is also upper. Go ahead, say enter. Right? Yeah, right. And then we're going to create a body. Then enter. After creating a body, we will add a paragraph of an ID that's output text, and then we will close it, and let's have a space. Let's have another space. We'll create a script, then enter twice, and then it's, yeah, this is how his code is looking. So yeah,
variable scope basically refers to where a variable is visible and usable, and where a variable is not visible and hence not usable. Now you may be wondering, what does this exactly mean? It means this in very simple terms. If you declare a variable inside of a function, then that variable is only visible and usable inside that function and nowhere else. If you try to use that variable outside of the function, then you will get a JavaScript error. Now let's test this out. I'm going to test this by creating a function called sum function, and in here I'm going to declare a new variable. I'm calling it sum variable, and I'm assigning a value of it of 100 to it. So we've got a function and we've got a variable inside there, and let's say we wanted to set this variable as the value of this paragraph, which I've given the ID of output text. Now, if we did it in here, document.getElement by ID, we'll place this guy's name in there, output text, and we'll set his inner HTML to some variable. Okay, the next thing we're going to need to do is to call this function. Remember, if you don't call a function, it just sits there and does nothing. So what's going to happen here? When we load this page, some function will be called, and some function will declare this variable and then set the value of this paragraph to whatever is the value of some variable. Let's check this up in the browser. Back in the browser, we refresh, and
Oh, damn, I didn't save. Control S. Ish, if I'm waiting for this guy to. Huh? Hold up.
variable.
Oh, the sum variable is 100. I forgot. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's check where did I go wrong? Okay, here. Okay, this, I think, let's replace this F with a capital letter F, Control S, and then some function, and then let's see. Okay, let's check if maybe this F was the problem. Oh yeah, we got 100 here.
Let's check this up in the browser. Back in the browser, we refresh, and this is what we get. As expected, it outputs 100 into the paragraph. Okay, now let's try something different. Let's try moving this line out of here, completely out of the function. Now, what do you think is going to happen here? Out of here.
Okay, he said we are removing this line, Control X, and then I think his cursor is around here.
Completely out of the function. Now, what do you think is going to happen
Control
here?
V.
So we are calling some function. We are declaring the variable and assigning it 100, and then the function closes. And now we are trying to call some variable from outside of the function. Let's see what happens. Save that and refresh.
Control
and
S.
We've got a blank. But not only are we getting a blank, we're also getting an error. There's a JavaScript error that's being thrown here, and we can see that error in the console. Now you can see the console by right-clicking anywhere on the screen in Chrome and click on Inspect. Then you click on Console, and there you go. You can clicking anywhere on the screen that's being thrown here, And we can see that error in the console. Now you can see the console by right-clicking anywhere on the screen in Chrome and click on Inspect. That's being thrown here. And we can see that error in the console.
How?
Now you can see the console by right-clicking anywhere on the screen in
Right
Chrome
click,
and click on Inspect.
inspect,
Then you click on Console.
and then we click on console.
And there you go. You can see the error that's been thrown by JavaScript. Uncaught reference error. Some variable is not defined. So as far as JavaScript is concerned, this variable is not defined. Which variable is that? Some variable. It's not defined outside there. Yes, it is defined inside the function, but the moment the function ends, that variable doesn't exist any longer. It only exists while that function is running. So this is a very important aspect of functions, to understand that variables you declare inside a function does not exist outside of a function. But then a question arises, what if you wanted a variable to be visible both outside as well as inside the function? The answer, simple. You just declare the variable outside of the function. So we move this line out of there.
Okay, that's crazy. And then we're just gonna cut this, Control X,
and outside the function.
and then we will put it
Now let's test this. Let's bring
Control
this
V.
line,
Wait, Control V,
the inner HTML line, from outside of the function.
and then we're gonna take this one from outside the function. That's what it's saying. Control X
to inside of the function. So in other words, we're declaring the variable
Control
up there,
V.
we're calling the function here, and inside the function we're setting the value of the paragraphs in a HTML to whatever is the value of some variable. In other words, we're calling that variable from inside the function. Let's see if it works.
Control S.
When we refresh this in our browser, fantastic. We've got 100 displayed there, and there's no error out there. Now this variable, some variable that we've declared outside of the function, is known as a global variable. It's called a global variable because it's available globally. It's available outside of functions and inside of functions also. So you can call it from this function, which we've created, or you can call it from any other function because it's a global variable.
Oh, basically it's saying this some variable is a global variable because you can get it when it's inside the function. This is the function, and also outside the function, so that's why it's called a global variable. So yeah guys, I'll see you on lesson 10. I'm hungry, let me go get something to eat.